Benitec Biopharma is a biotechnology company working on gene silencing therapies for a range of debilitating diseases, and its clinical trials for hepatitis C have been approved for phase 1/2 in the US. And I'm John Treadgold, and joining me today at the ASX Investor Series in Sydney is the company's Chief Business Officer, Carl Stubbings. Carl, welcome.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate the invitation.
Benitec Biopharma is a dominant player in gene silencing. For the layperson, how does gene silencing work, and what are the key applications?
Gene silencing is a unique, almost exquisite way that the body uses to turn genes off that it doesn't need. Benitec effectively makes use of this particular process by selecting different diseases for which there's a particular gene that's known and using the technology to actually shut that gene down and solve the problem and cure the disease.
And what sets your company apart from others in the field?
The actual technology came out of a research at the CSIRO in Australia. We call it DNA-directed RNA interference, and it's a form of what's called RNA interference. This is effectively the gene silencing, if you like. The difference between how Benitec approaches this and some of the other companies is that the others have to continually administer the effective medicine, if you like. It's called short interfering RNA. We don't need to worry too much about what that actually is. The point is that it is the thing that actually turns the particular gene off. In the other companies, they have to keep administering that material because the cell consumes it in turning the gene off. Benitec's approach is to use a DNA construct, which is like an instruction to the cell. So it tells the cell to manufacture something similar to this siRNA that I mentioned. It moves into the same pathway, shuts the gene off, but does it for the life of the cell, so you don't have to keep re-administering the particular treatment.
Okay, very interesting. And your licensing partner, Calimmune, in the US, has seen some success in clinical trials disrupting genes associated with HIV. What's the progress there?
Very, very exciting work that Calimmune's undertaken. Their trial is based around using ddRNAi in a stem cell format. So that effectively what they're doing is repopulating the immune cells in a patient who's got HIV to replicate a scenario that you see in about 1% of the European population, where these people lack a particular receptor on their lymphocytes. It's that receptor that the HIV virus binds to. If it's not there, the virus can't bind to it. So by rebuilding an immune system using ddRNAi to suppress that particular gene, we're able to build a population of immune cells in a patient without it, and therefore make it impossible for the virus to replicate.
Okay, and Benitec receives licensing fees for its technology. Have any of these made it to the trial stage, and how many new applications do you have in the pipeline?
So from a licensing point of view, apart from Calimmune, which is now in clinical trials, we have another 3 indications with other companies. They range from various forms of cancer through to Huntington's disease and an orphan indication for an ocular disease. So none of those yet have hit clinical trial phase, so we get a small annual license fee for those. The real money occurs at the sort of back end when they start to move into and through the clinic.
What is the company's cash position and financial forecast for the year ahead?
It's a very strong position. In February this year, Benitec raised over $31.5 million in the United States with US institutional healthcare funds. This has positioned us very strongly and uncharacteristically, I might say, for Australian biotech companies. We have sufficient funds now to take our lead program, TTO34, which is the treatment you mentioned for hepatitis C, through to the conclusion of phase 2, where if we have very strong positive clinical data, the company's going to have a significant value inflection point. Importantly, it'll also help us take a couple of our other key programs through up towards the clinic, and they are programs that include a treatment for hepatitis B, which leverages the hepatitis C program, a treatment for non-small cell lung cancer, eliminating chemotherapy resistance, and finally a treatment for age-related macular degeneration.
Okay, well look, those sound like some good long-term goals. Are there any other things on the horizon that are most interesting? Yeah,
it's interesting you should ask that. The way the platform, which is what we call the ddRNAi technology, is positioned is effectively it could work on any number of different diseases if you can isolate the gene that's responsible for the problem. So we're in early stage conversations with a number of organisations about identifying new targets that might be applicable for ddRNAi. So You know, the company is well funded. We've got at least one of our own programs in the clinic. One of our licensees has a program in the clinic. I think, you know, we're well positioned, and I have to tell you at the moment, it's a very, very exciting time.
Carl Stubbings, thank you for the update from Benitec Biopharma.
Thank you very much.